Ethan Lane holds a 58-point championship advantage, which tonight could slip through his fingers in one of our 130 feature laps. Welcome back to the regular season for the 2025 Integrity OCTANE Series. Tonight, we're back at a familiar venue, but in a different configuration. That's right, this is the Atlanta Motor Speedway in its mile-and-a-half mini super speedway form, and tonight's going to be one of the fastest races on the season. Maybe it's going to take a little while longer. It's due to be chaotic, but speeds of over 185 miles an hour are the expectation all night long. Welcome back to the Integrity Racing League for race week number 18 of the 2025 calendar, broadcast exclusively live on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. It's great to have you back after a thriller last night, a remarkable race between Michael Araya and Ethan Lane. Drivers are setting qualifying times right now. Last night, Jared Davis was on the pole position. Provisionally, he finds himself right there. Once again, Davis is to the top of the board by 29 one-thousandths of a second. 30 drivers have registered to race today, many of which still taking their times. There's Josh Gallagher. Josh currently sits P12. Blake Cannon gets up to second place after a real fast run there. Watch out for the 44 as Ethan Lane gets on the way. Brian Yazik goes second. And every driver gets one time around tonight. An interesting call. The first time all year long that we haven't seen the two-lap qualifying procedure. And as such, drivers cannot build up that momentum on the first lap to use in the second. It is do or die on the one and only. Ethan Lane is on the way. He was able to come home second last night after qualifying 31st. At a track like this, however, I think ironically, track position means more. Usually at the super speedways, we don't say that, but I think in this instance, that will be the case. Ryan Bean goes up to P6. Nicholas Ward, 7th. Your championship leader, Lane, now has himself 8 wins on the season. If he wins tonight, he will be able to take home his 9th and go 50% on the win rate once again. He had that tally just a few weeks ago. Hasn't been able to pull through since. Lane is going to cross the line. The time to beat is a 31.636. He's not able to do so. Lane goes 6th. Brad Patton is now on the way in the number 7. And as Ethan fails to hit the top 5, Brad Patton's going to decide to take a qualifying time, something he hasn't done for every race this season. And it looks like so far he's got a solid run going, coming across the apron and the line. Patton, 31.685. That'll be a dead tie for 9th place. And it looks like Brad Patton will be scored ahead of Sam Nieto. Only 5 drivers to wait for now. Richard Smith, one of them, he's coming around the way. Smith comes through. 27th place he goes up to. And Richard able to take that time just before we get to the checkered flag of the session. It looks like the 4 drivers we are waiting on will not take a lap. Richard Smith being the last of which on the racetrack to have set a time. Yazik, Cannon, McClendon, and DeBarro are the top 5, only split by 33 one-thousandths. While Smith takes extra practice laps, it's a familiar face at the head of the field, and a driver who now sweeps the pole positions for the week. That will be Jared Davis. It is his second Octane Series pole position, and just like that, Jared takes P1 in qualifying at both Michigan and Atlanta. He was able to come away with a top 5 finish last night. Maybe he's looking to go for the double and bring home an even better performance here from Georgia. Davis takes the pole. Brian Yazik will sit alongside him on the front row. 5 minutes left on the clock before we get things going and move on. For the first time today at the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, the starting grid has been set, and it is a stacked field. 30 drivers, 26 of which opting to take a time, and we have one driver making his series debut at the tail end of the pack. Let's get to know them from beginning to end, and we'll start from the start. In a familiar position, Jared Davis finds himself with the pole alongside Brian Yazik in P2. Davis takes the pole position by just 22 one-thousandths of a second. Blake Cannon goes third place, and Brant McClendon goes P4, with John DeBarro fifth, and Ethan Lane, your championship leader, qualifying sixth on the day. Then you'll have Ryan Bean seventh, Nicholas Ward eighth, and Brad Patton in ninth. Concluding the top 10 is Sam Nieto, as Bobby Keith and Nick Tarbuck conclude the top dozen. The spread between your top 10 drivers was just about 5/100ths of a second. Razor thin margins in the top 5, where they were only split by about 33 one-thousandths of a second. Jacob Fife opts to go through for his one and only lap. It gets him up to 13th. Cody Smith 14th place, as Nolan Potter and Zach Schrintenall line up alongside each other. It'll be Potter, Nolan anyway, running 15th, and Zach in P16. 17th is Woody Mahan, and Josh Gallagher goes 18th, with 19th and 20th respectively being Kyle Cooper and Brock Potter in the number 14. Matt Sisler and Sean Kalis, they'll be lined up alongside each other for 21st and 22nd, as Eli Cars and Don Stevenson, your defending Atlanta winner. It's going to be Eli Cars 23rd, Don Stevenson 24th, Richard Smith P25, and your final 5 drivers on the night: Matt Jonas, Tom Wetmore, Aaron Eads, Randy Fayash, and the rookie making his very first start. That's the 74 of Willie Cacciatore. He's the 30th and last man on the lineup from Atlanta. Welcome back to Hampton, Georgia. It's going to be faster than you've ever seen it before. Maybe not, but still going to be pretty quick. Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway for race 18 of the 2025 Octane Series. Jared Davis, the man who is on your screen right now, has the pole position. Getting his reps in with 1:50 left on the clock here. It's just a little bit of casual drafting practice for the drivers right on the circuit here. You got Davis on his way, Brian Yazik's with a little bit heftier of a pack. The Integrity Ignite Series already took on this circuit, and one thing we'll tell you for certain, it is a hard track to make passes. I think that's going to be the case all night long. A lot of the Atlanta race that we saw with the Ignite Series was defined predominantly by single file racing or double file racing for the most part. Drivers had a very hard time making their way around, and as it stands anyway, Brian Yazik just getting himself in that train with Matt Sisler. I can't imagine for the drivers outside the front row they're going to have any easy time making moves. The Ignite Series gave us an indication of that a little bit earlier, so we do have some expertise coming in. It was Cody Smith who won that race, 115 lap feature. Smith barely getting there at the line. It was an exciting race. 37 drivers. We have just under that tonight in 30, so the field is stacked, and it's got some of those familiar contenders. Smith is one of them. Cody's getting off pit road right now. He won that race by only about 21 thousandths of a second, and did so with some last lap passing. He is a tough competitor. Sometimes racing not going his way, but remember, he's the first ever winner in an Octane Series race. He did it at Daytona. Less than 15 seconds on the clock, and it's Cody Smith backing down to pit road. Matt Sisler takes the fastest time in final practice, and he does so with Brian Yazik as his helping man on the back end. Qualifying and practice have concluded. The Atlanta Motor Speedway is ready to see 130 more feature racing laps to add on to the 115 you saw earlier this summer. Track is empty for the last time, and it's about time things get busy. The mile-and-a-half track will come to life. Now, interestingly enough, this track is now officially listed at 1.54 miles, just a little bit more than the average 1.5 these intermediate tracks are given credit for. Now, that could be based on the center line, but if you go down to the inside, it's a little less than 1.5. You go all the way up to the top of the racetrack, it's a little bit more. So it just depends on where you're measuring it here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This track now has gotten a few years of use. We've seen it come to life a few times beforehand. In the Ignite Series and Octane Series, we've chosen to use this venue twice most seasons. Last year, we did that with the Octane Series. We went to it once in the old configuration, once with the new configuration. When we were last here at the Mini SuperSpeedway configuration, this was one of the two races the big three lost. So Nick Tarbuck, Michael Araya, Ethan Lane, for context, they won 28 races last year. They did not win at New Atlanta. Don Stevenson got his one and only win. And so by virtue of just that, he is one of only two drivers carrying, or rather, one of only three drivers carrying a year-by-year win streak. Ethan Lane, Nick Tarbuck, and Don Stevenson can say they've won in 2023, 24, and 25. Stevenson snuck in there by virtue of the Atlanta victory he got. Double file as we get ready to rumble. Track conditions tonight are going to be favorable as we look overhead from Hampton, Georgia. The racing circuit is warm as is, but it isn't sizzling. 92 degrees Fahrenheit with an ambient temperature of 83 degrees. Winds are southwest bound at 5 miles an hour, so all things considered, very favorable for the driver today. I don't think there will be much of a concern when it comes to tires. The big question becomes fuel. We have ourselves 3 extra tire sets as always. No limit or restriction on fuel. Depending on how long we go under green, we could see long-term strategy calls in a one-stop race. Last night in Michigan, with 10 extra miles on the pallet, we saw 2 stops. Tonight, with SuperSpeedway Racing, fuel saving is very possible. Just let off the gas and let the field ahead of you do that work. Tonight, doing that work first and foremost will be Jared Davis. He sweeps the pole position on Monday and Tuesday nights, and he gets the ball rolling once again. Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and from Hampton, Georgia, Davis, Yazik, Cannon, bring them to life. The green flag is out, and we are underway down south. Mid-pack is going to be as expected, a little bit closer than most other circuits, but not a lot of movement to this point. Leader is still Jared Davis. He's got it by a tenth of a second. It was Blake Cannon who perhaps made the best moves in this early shuffle, but he only gained one position to take the outside from Brian Yazik. Yazik runs behind him. They're double file all the way down, and this is exactly what we expected to see when we got things going. William Cacciatore, interesting for him tonight, of course, his very first start. We're going to keep a closer eye on him just because of that. He is the first debutant in the second half of the season. William, with the Kyle Busch number 8 paint scheme, running 29th and letting the field get ahead of him. He's looking not to get in any trouble tonight. Of course, this is his very first opportunity on the racetrack. You don't want to make yourself a bad name when you come through so early in your career. 4 laps in out of 130. Yazik getting ahead now on the outside. Blake Cannon taking it from Jared Davis. That gives Yaz and Brant McClendon an opportunity up top. Brant McClendon and the Wood Brothers number 21 Surge is on the outside, and look who's also there, Ethan Lane. I don't know how Lane is going to break out of this one just yet, but I'll be excited to figure out when he does. Up top, Brian Yazik. A little bit of a shower of sparks on the upper walling, and Ethan Lane gets the race lead. Not a breakout just yet, but the 6 car is free. 5 laps in out of 130, and for the first time tonight, Lane leads. Lane went back and forth with a number 44 car all of last night, and while it doesn't bear any significance in this race, I mean, what a night it was between those two drivers. They led a total of 98 laps. It was Michael Lariah in the 44 last night, and Ethan Lane was in the 6. Lariah is a 10-time race winner in the Octane Series. He has decided to take a hiatus from Tuesday nights to focus his full attention on winning the Ignite Series championship. So Cannon able to take that number on a full-time basis now after debuting with a 27 last year. Lane was beat last night. That's become a rarer and rarer feat, but it happened yesterday. And I think, honestly, if I were to predict coming in that Lane would win one of 2 races on the week, I would have said yesterday would have been his. He qualified 31st and in 28 laps took the race lead, but Lariah bested him on the long run twice and was able to outdo him in strategy. Jared Davis held a candle for the first 2 stints as well, but had to settle just outside. Davis, DeBarro, and now Ryan Bean, 1, 2, 3 down the line, watching as Ryan gets himself up into the podium. With him comes Brad Patton. Patton getting a solid qualifying run, but to go from 9th up to P4 so quickly, in just 1 lap by the way, he's making it work. Ethan Lane now going to work on him on the outside. He'll take with Blake Cannon. A little bit of a separation between some of your front runners in the mid-pack, although for the most part here, everyone's really bundled up. Not seeing much of the 3 wide just yet. Brent McClendon forced up there, but I would be shocked if he stays that high for this long. He doesn't have any help out there, and he's going to fade back. Davis leading DeBarro. This style of racing is tight, that is without question, but it's also, and for the most part anyway, easy to maintain. And that might sound like a good thing, but I don't think it really is when it comes to the racing quality that you're seeing on the racetrack here. Oftentimes, when drivers put it together like this, they get complacent. And that means that you're not going to see a lot of passes just yet. We saw quite a few passes for the race lead in the Ignite Series race here, but a lot of them came late when the aggression meter was turned up. Right now, not so much. Maybe the outside groove is something to fight for. Ethan Lane is really blocking hard on Blake Cannon, though. Lane's got the 44 all over him. I mean, you take a look from the front end of Cannon, he is bumper to bumper, almost through the corners, and I gotta wonder why. It's interesting with how tight these two are to each other that they're going nowhere. I mean, honestly, they're going backwards. I mean, look at what you're seeing here. You got a gap built up. Maybe Lane is purposefully backing up with Cannon and trying to build a big run. But what you're seeing here is two guys that are locked into each other, but they're really going nowhere. Someone's going to have to take that outside groove. It could be Bobby Keith, it could be Brad Patton, it could be Ryan Bean, but they're stacking up the high side so big right now. I just got to wonder why. I would be shocked if it's any real damage. It just looks like this is intentional, but I can't figure out what the purpose of it is yet. Getting a surge down the back straightaway to try to keep up with Bobby Keith. Keith has decided not to look to the outside, nor has anyone in that front look. You see here, the front four, they've stayed on the inside. The bottom groove is maintained exactly where they need to be. Oh, a little bit of three wide there. Jacob Fife scraping the wall as Tom Wetmore. Everyone gets away from it. But as Jacob Fife shuffles, everyone slows down. Tarbuck fades back slightly. 2x2, multiple layers deep. Ethan Lane is still keeping Blake Cannon at bay, and it looks like, well, they backed up intentionally, but they hadn't lost anything. The outside groove maintained confidence in them to the point that even still, Lane is leading the outside. Now, now they're toe-to-toe with Davis. Jared, so far, has been able to lead the inside as soon as he got down there. Confidence he got it, and it's been maintained. John Navarro working as a strong pusher. That number 61, I'll tell you this much. He's a driver who I think has a lot more potential in him to this point that we haven't seen. It's exciting to see whether or not he's going to build that up, or, of course, it could be multiple seasons of development. Navarro's been able to get a few top 10 runs, and we talk about the specifics on his numbers to this point. He's one of those drivers that currently finds himself outside of the postseason window. Everyone's aiming for the top 10 as at lap number 17, the caution flies at Sean Kalis. Watch this. Kalis goes around for the first yellow flag of the day, and it looks like it's in the back of the field. Shaw up high on Matt Jonas. And as he goes down the back straight here, this was outside of the top 20. Kalis ends up making contact. Oh, he gets loose on his own. Goes high. Oh, John Stevenson. And that's going to take your defending Atlanta winner with him. Stevenson and Sean Kalis go around. Caution's out. It's a small incident. But it looks like with the track temp bumping up slightly, we're going to find one big error as the caution is out. 17 laps in out of 130 so far. Navarro, just to backtrack to that point, 16th in the championship standings right now, relative to the top 10. Doing the numbers, he finds himself just about 69 points off. So that's about a race's worth of points, a little bit more than a race's worth of points. To this point, he's gotten 3 top 10 finishes. And he's just outside of the top 15. Just ahead of him is Jared Davis in the title lineup. So, Navarro needs one thing desperately in these final races. It is consistency, and he needs to elevate his results. Where he's running right now is going to be critical because a night like this could bump him up to 13th in points and shave off half the deficit he has to a guy like Ross Cato. Cato, again, the number 12 team, they need to keep making moves. Ross right now, not on the racetrack. He's been on the up and up, though, Ross Cato. He's gotten himself up to the top dozen, but a night like this, he's going to fade back, and Navarro has an opportunity now to make up some placement relative to his big rivals in the mid-teens and the top dozen. Him, of course, being up there in third place, it's critical. Side by side, as they line up again, restart at lap number 20, and it's going to be Davis and Ethan Lane, positions 1 and 2. Lane will have with him Blake Cannon, Nick Ward, and Sam Nieto as his support. John Navarro, Ryan Bean, and behind them, it's going to be Brad Patton. So far, the inside and outside grooves have been relatively even. Jared Davis has maintained control outright of the bottom. Ethan Lane and Blake Cannon seem to have something strong going together on that inside groove. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to stay a good partnership for the rest of the night. The entire field is with us. Sean Kalis is still on the lead lap and getting back on the way. And Don Stevenson right now, the number 47 team, he scored in 25th. Oh, but the front end has crumbled. I don't think he's going to be competitive, at least for the early stages of this race. But Don is on the lead lap, whereas Sean Kalis should be able to have a better chance. The front end is good. Green flag flies at lap number 20. Jared Davis Ethan Lane, top two drivers back in control. The inside line gets the advantage on this one, and it's going to be primarily, of course, Jared Davis who gets away. Green flags out for your first restart of the night, and already Jared drops to the one and only line that gets the launch. Looks like a few supports have swapped. It's going to be Ethan Lane now pushed by Nicholas Ward. Davis still has John DeBarro, but it looks like the outside group is going to be a little bit tangled up in itself. Blake Cannon falls back to third in that lane, but he might be able to make his way up to third overall with a major surge on the outer groove. Nicholas Ward and Ethan Lane work well. That pushes Ethan all the way out in front. He's got himself now several car lengths over Jared Davis. 21 laps in out of 130, and you see real clear it is Davis watching. His inside line has not yet been able to come back. It's double file all the way down. Side by side, Jared Davis now with Nicholas Ward, so it looks like the inside building it up again. These lines are going to be relatively even all night long, even if the outside has its time of breaking out, or if the inside gets the better temporarily. I highly doubt that, at least for the time being anyway, we're going to see any groove really pull up and ahead. Ethan Lane as a driver might be able to do that. Jared Davis as a driver might be able to do that, but they need the help of the drivers behind them. You cannot break away any longer at these super speedways. The aero packages aren't designed for that any longer, and as a result, it's pretty tricky for anyone to say that they can break through on their own. You would need an outright better car to do that, and everyone is outfitted with the same equipment today. So, that's impossible. Tom Wetmore's got some crumpling on the front end. Brief contact, most likely. Very minor, but if you take a look off the back end of the number 7, oh, Tom Wetmore just decided to move up on us there. Oh, he just decided to move up indeed. Nicholas Ward goes around. We got contact. We got a caution. Yellow flag is out, and it's a big one. Oh, take a look at this. And we might have just knocked out 5 or more drivers. It's only lap 25. The caution is out. Watch this from afar. Wetmore moved up high, and it looks like he was clear. Oh, Ward got loose the same way Sean Kalis did. Then into Blake Cannon, Brant McClendon. And as Ward comes up, Sam Nieto collected. Slam, Bobby Keith involved. And then you see Brock Potter, Nolan Potter, Richard Smith. This is a nasty tangle. You get so many drivers all at once, and you see more. Jacob Fife, Nick Tarbuck, Smith is going up the track. Gallagher gets below it. Matt Jonas also slides. Gallagher could have avoided it. Ends up drifting around as well. Nasty hit. Matt Sisler to the inside. I think he's going to kiss the entry of pit road there. Horrible. Yes, he does. Contact all around. Woody Mahan comes away clean. Nolan Potter goes to pit road. Brock Potter definitely had contact in that one. And I'm thinking we were looking at least 7 or 8 drivers involved in that wreck. Caution is out. Drivers heading to pit road. Just about everyone heading to pit road, in fact. Jared Davis decides to stay out, so we'll work the numbers. The holdouts are going to be few and far between. That's going to be Jared Davis, John DeBarro, Ryan Bean, Richard Smith, and Matt Sisler, as Brad Patton is now the winner off of pit road. So, involved in that one, from what we saw, Nick Tarbuck, Bobby Keith, Jacob Fife, Woody Mahan, Matt Sisler, Sam Nieto, Josh Gallagher, Brock Potter, and Nolan Potter, Matt Jonas. It's a pretty big lineup, I'll tell you that much. I think we were looking at about 10 indeed. So that's about a third of the field that got caught up in one way, shape, or form. And we are only 26 laps in. That's our biggest wreck so far. Luckily, it looks like most drivers should be able to pull back on the racetrack, but McClendon, Ward, and Nieto are here for extended repairs. Jacob Fife looks like he's gotten out without the need for that. Nick Tarbuck, take a look at him now. Mostly getting away unscathed. Composite bodies on these next gens can take a little bit more of a beating. We will lose a few drivers off the lead lap for the first time. It's Davis and DeBarro side by side. Ethan Lane, thanks to going down to pit road, now finds himself P11. He'll have to work through a few newcomers up front, including Kyle Cooper. "27 laps to go, of course. That's far from here. But in these first 27 laps, 2 cautions. We'll see if things stay calm and collected or if we're about to go toward a dicey stage. Cautions often breed cautions, but we've seen a bump that's taken many a driver out so far. Bumps up high through turns 1 and turns 3 have caused cataclysmic damage for a lot of these guys in the field. I think it was a bump through turns 3 and 4, not just the entry of, that got the better this time of most of the pack. Jared Davis, no doubter on that restart. Richard Smith could not hold a candle, and he is damaged. They're going to have to work around the 23 real fast as your second restart is underway. Jared Davis, John DeBarro, Ryan Bean, 1, 2, 3. And interestingly enough, Richard Smith has help in Brad Patton. We'll see how long this lasts. Smith has very clear damage. I don't think he's going to be a useful asset for drafting with the amount of damage that he has up there. Yeah, they're going to have to leave him out to dry. 3 wide. Cause for concern. Big cause for concern. Smith up in the wall. They're going to get him out of the way, and he's going to fall back fast. Ethan Lane has already gotten that outside to his own. And when there's Lane, there's Cannon. Once again together to fight against Jared Davis. It's side by side, DeBarro and Cannon right alongside each other. John DeBarro has been playing that excellent support role so far for Jared Davis. He's been so consistent and unrelenting in his role of being the second man to this point. Nice to see it. He's been consistent, and it's kept him with good track position. And it looks like if there's one duo on that outside, you got the guys down low to combat him, Davis and DeBarro. Interestingly, they're 15th and 16th in the championship together, so they both have a lot to prove today. And double podiums would be great for both teams. The 2025 Integrity OCTANE Series regular season is 21 races long. So, with that said, this is our 18th. From this point onward, drivers will only have 3 opportunities to make their way into the playoffs. Top 10 is secure. We're waiting on the official brackets to determine who makes it in. But if you're top 10 in points, you have a lot of a better chance of making it in as opposed to a driver who does not. 2023 wins were accounted for. We saw the same process last year, but so few drivers won that very little was shaken up. This year, we've seen a little bit more parity between drivers, so I think that's going to be more expected as the season progresses. Victories will be more evenly distributed than 2024, and again, we could see another driver break out tonight. DeBarro waiting for that maiden victory in his Integrity Racing League career. Blake Cannon, he's already got himself a win. However, in this rookie season, of course, that comes competing in both series. Jared having his one and only victory so far, of course, in the Ignite Series. Hasn't yet been able to do it on Tuesdays, so he knows what it takes to win. He's done it before. He's just done it on Monday nights. It's all about now making that one-day turnover and getting it to Tuesday. side by side. It is now Ethan Lane with Ryan Bean. The outside has been pulling this sort of back and forth method. I really don't know what they're doing, but it's worked so far. Where Lane and Cannon deliberately appear to back off, let the guys around them get a little bit of an advantage, not a big advantage anyway, but just a little bit, and then slingshot up in front. That's a really risky call when it comes to pack racing, and usually it works a little bit better when you're running alone or you're running in a smaller group. I can only think back to one example of that working well individually, and you would have to go back to, if we recall correctly here, the 1975 Daytona 500, in which David Pearson was able to get the better of Richard Petty off a last lap maneuver in the final circuit. That was all down to slingshotting, laying back with the penultimate lap, and then making the move on the final run through. But Lane and Cannon have been backing off several car lengths with about, I want to say 10 to 15 guys behind them. I mean, the outside stretches from Ethan Lane to, not Randy Fiash, but Josh Gallagher. That is third place, 25th. And so that's about 11 drivers at the very minimum that are in the outside groove, and I think it's a little bit more than that. So it's interesting. The Jared Davis-led inside has had very little choice besides, of course, making the way through and pushing on the inside. You really can't afford to back off the throttle if you're on that bottom groove, but if you're on the outside, you are at the discretion of the inside. And so far, 37 laps in out of 130, that's exactly how Lane and Cannon have decided to play the game, as they leave each other a little bit more room than last time when we checked on them. Blake Cannon is now back bumper to bumper, but it's not through the corners, at least not yet. Watch what happens now as Ethan Lane is given a little bit of breathing room, but Blake Cannon has been relentless. Now, that ambition, we'll see if that ends up being a positive thing full on out, or if it ends up having a little bit of a backside here. 38 laps in out of 130. I wouldn't be all too shocked to say that the way these guys are driving is not representative of what's next, but also I think that means that more so the guys in the back end of the field are going to come to life. I think you're already seeing a little bit of a higher standard of competition up in front. I think Davis wants to lead those laps. I think Lane wants to lead those laps as well. But if you're looking back even to the tail end of the top 10, where, say, a Tom Wetmore is or where a Cody Smith is, Smith knows from experience it doesn't matter where you are at lap number 39. In tonight's case, it really only matters where you are at lap 130. So you really don't have to kill yourself over these early laps. Don't take the energy away from yourself. Don't burn up your equipment. Take your time. Patience is pivotal. Up top, that's going to be Blake Cannon again. Brian Yazik, John DeBarro with each other once more. Lane is side by side with Jared Davis. They have still kept each other toe to toe. John DeBarro has done a great job in that pusher roll. Blake Cannon goes up high to get some clean air. Track temperature is coming in at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so actually, in most cases anyway, you see the disadvantage of drivers getting longer behind a driver, longer stints, longer time right up on the back end, and the car getting warmer. Tonight, that shouldn't be too much of a concern because the track is going to get naturally cooler as the race progresses. It's most likely going to be nighttime skies by the time it's all said and done, and we'll have a track temperature somewhere in the 80s once again, side by side between Davis and Lane once more. .42 out of 130. Oh, Blake Cannon scraping the wall, drifts just a bit, but he'll maintain his spot in line. The draft is going to pull him together, and Brian Yazik could not close up the gap nearly quick enough. Toe to toe, DeBarro still shoving Davis. It's 2x2 up for the lead. It's been 2x2 all the way back down. Jacob Fife right now ahead of Bobby Keith, and this is for about the 20th position. Bobby's going to be 21st. William Cacciatore is now up in 22nd. William starting today, 30th place, up 8 in his debut, and it looks like so far on the up and up, still maintaining it in the back end, has decided to be one of the more calm and collected guys today. Doesn't want to get in any trouble. Again, it's a series debut for Cacciatore. And of course, you don't want to make those bad first impressions. That was what we said as soon as the race started. So far, up 8 is not a bad place to be. Ethan Lane, Jared Davis right alongside each other. And DeBarro, Brian Yazik, head-to-head even still. Ryan Bean, if John DeBarro's been the best second supporting man, I would say that it has been, of course, this man, the number 26. Ryan Bean, the third supporting man and the best of them. He's been staying right behind DeBarro, and this inside has been locked tight amongst every one of these guys. They've tried to make it through, but it has been a rigid up-and-coming field up in front. Everyone's been stalled out in the bottom groove with that leadership. Lane and Cannon have done the same, but they've had a few drivers behind them. Brian Yazik has gotten his time, as has Brad Patton or Tom Wetmore. But right now, I think it's pretty clear to say the inside has a firm structure as Lane tries to lead it. We'll see how long he decides to stay down here as he makes his very first trip downstairs. Davis decides to stay right where he is. Blake Cannon left alone. We'll see for how long. A brief visit down to the bottom side for Ethan Lane, and now it's become the better part of the lap at minimum. Ryan Bean watching as John DeBarro contemplates going high. He's going to try to block both lanes now. DeBarro on top of the DraftKings number 44. Only just. And he decides to opt back in. Back in line goes the 61 of John DeBarro. Trying to keep himself stuck on the inside as Jared Davis goes up top with Lane. They both go back down to the bottom. Now you're starting to see that contentious racing between your top two drivers. Ethan Lane, knowing Jared Davis might just be the biggest threat to win this one, if not him. Shoved to the back end into turn 1. Every other driver can only watch now as the best two in the field today are back at each other. Line leaders now contending for one spot. And I think for the time being, you're going to see Ethan Lane and Jared Davis running as one rather than going against each other. Blake Cannon is getting mired back here, and as you can see, the outside groove has now come fully undone. Cannon merges in with Tom Wetmore. Wetmore goes up high. Remember, these two are teammates. They're racing for Roadhouse Racing together, and they have no reason to battle each other now in this situation. Cannon has been sent back. He's lost that help up on top, and now with a teammate around him that he can trust, it might be time for a rebound sooner than later. 50 laps in out of 130, Ethan Lane finding himself ahead of Jared Davis, John DeBarro, Brad Patton, and then from there, watch what happens as the Roadhouse duo makes contact. Oh, we got trouble again. Smoke billowing. The caution is out. Yellow flag flies. And it's going to be Tom Wetmore and teammate Cannon involved. Take a look at this. 51 laps in out of 130. It's your third caution. The teammates made contact and went up to the top of the track. Wetmore into Woody Mahan. And it's primarily those two that had the problems. Caution flies. Oh, Josh Gallagher. And William Cacciatore, but Gallagher destroys the front end. Take a ride on board. That might be a race ender for the 96. Nick Tarbuck stays straight through it. Plowed. Motor's over. And done with. That is a race ended for Josh Gallagher. Horrible hit as the iRacing pace car gets on its way. Caution is out. That is a massive hit to take as the field now comes down to pit road for the second time today. There's Ethan Lane right into his second place stall. Jared Davis with the best stall of all. Now you'll see they're all coming right out. Currently, it's going to be Ethan Lane to watch with Jared Davis against him. Which one comes out first? It looks like advantage Ethan Lane. Then from there, you'll have Brad Patton, Jared Davis, John DeBarro, Nolan Potter, Ryan Bean, Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck. Sean Kalist decides to stay out. It's time by. Yellow flag flies for the third time today at lap number 53 out of 130. It is Ethan Lane who gets out of pit road first, above all else. Aaron Eads last time by scored as your race leader. Aaron right now finding himself as one of only 3 holdouts. He, Jacob Fife, and Bobby Keith, 1, 2, 3 down the lineup. One lap to green this time by. Jacob Fife heads up top. Bobby Keith to the bottom. Ethan Lane now takes the second groove again. He'll have Jared Davis behind him. I think we're going to see those two drivers now working more with each other than we had before. Blake Cannon, well, he's going to find himself now 2 laps down. A horrible instance of contact between teammates as Tom Wetmore now putters around the circuit with big front end damage. Restart at lap number 55. We are now only 11 laps away from halftime here in Atlanta. Some drivers have come down twice, the majority of which have. And that's going to leave us here in an interesting place. Because that means that with the 3 extra sets of tire drivers were provided, that we're now only going to see many a driver with 1 left. What are they going to do with only 1 for the second half of the race? I think that's an indication you'll see a more relaxed approach to pit road, and you won't see drivers diving down after a 20-30 lap run. Teammates involved in our most recent yellow flag. Aaron Eads gets his first time up in front, and both drivers who are leading this one have not been up in front all day long. It's Jacob Fife and Aaron Eads, the holdouts, with Bobby Keith as Ethan Lane and Brad Patton run behind for restart number 3. Aaron finds himself with a car length, and Bobby Keith has been able to support him pretty strong to this point. And now the question becomes, does the new rubber really mean anything? I honestly don't think it does. If the driver doesn't have damage, I don't think they're going to be shuffled back to the end of the field immediately anyway. Richard Smith's big problem was that he had front-end damage, and so when he took the race lead, he was effectively destroyed by the time he was up there. Aaron Eads, however, showing the exact opposite. He's got himself confidently up where he needs to be. And now, Brad Patton down to the inside, toe-to-toe they go, and up top goes Bobby Keith. Keith, 3 wide now, Nolan Potter with Ryan Bean, and all of a sudden, it's going to be Keith, the first of the holdouts to be shuffled far out of line. 3 wide has not been often used for racing, but instead sending drivers down the effective gutter, and if a driver's put down there, it is all but game over. Well, I wouldn't say game over permanently, but for the most part anyway, it's a really bad sign for a driver. They don't have any help, and they've got to lose a whole lot before they get back up there. Ethan Lane is leading, and he's found a new friend in Jared Davis. He found him just before the contact for the Roadhouse guys, and Unfortunately for Blake Cannon, who's playing that secondary role. Oh, contact again! We've got trouble! Bobby Keith shot down the line, Cody Smith, and Zach Shrintenall. Wetmore is involved for the second straight wreck, and Jacob Fife skids up the track. We got something going on the circuit tonight. Atlanta Motor Speedway sees its fourth wreck in 58 laps. This one was bad, to put it bluntly. Now watch what happens. Let's see where it begins. I think it's just ahead here. Oh, yep. 34 of Potter catches up to Cody Smith. And we're going to pull it back with Nolan Potter in focus here. It begins with Potter. And then watch how the tables turn for many a driver. Last night was caution-free, different type of track, of course, but it looks like Atlanta's chaotic nature has really come into full force. It was contact between Brad Patton and Nolan Potter. Then, Potter up the track, plows into Cody Smith. Slam, Bobby Keith. 1, 2, 3 right there. Then, Matt Jonas gets a piece. Zach Shrintenall is shot into the wall. Wetmore looked to be free from it. Then, here's where it gets worse. Because Jacob Fife and Tom Wetmore both try to avoid Matt Jonas. Wetmore is hit from the back end of the 15. Gets into Jacob Fife. And they both send it with a little bit more contact down the circuit. Sam Nieto has to go as slow as possible up high to get away. The caution's out again. Harsh hits for all those involved. Sam Nieto, 26 laps down. That really would have been race over for him had he made any more contact. Ryan Bean scored as your leader. Ethan Lane now running P9 according to timing and scoring. Taking a look at tire strategy and the who's who. Lane last going in at lap number 60. I don't think drivers are going in for tires now anyway. They're going to be going in for fuel just to get themselves refilled continuously. And as that happens, it's going to become a race on fuel. A driver should have themselves pretty well equipped tire-wise. But now, when it comes to the fuel numbers, gotta be patient, because we are coming up to a point where if we end up going under green the whole way, then it would be just one pit stop. And the pit stop that Lane just underwent, that would be suitable for the whole race if we stay under green. It's a big if, mind you. Not something to bet on, not something to bank on. Without question, I wouldn't be betting on it, but it is very, very possible. That's how it goes. Just depends on how clean the field holds it out from this point onward. We're coming up to halfway real soon. 61 laps in out of 130 with your fourth caution of the day. Bean, Patton, Shrintenall, and then with them, Nick Tarbuck all lined up together. Nick Tarbuck is battling with Nate Campbell for second in the championship running. On a night like this, where Campbell is not racing, Nick Tarbuck is going to get a clear advantage and at least maintain P2 in points. We'll head green at our 62nd lap. If fuel saving comes into play, everyone from Jared Davis on down will be able to go the distance. Here we go again. Restart number 4, Brad Patton getting a chance alongside Zach Shrintenall. Here we go. The 20 car gets moving but fades back. No help on the outside. It is all Ryan Bean. Brad Patton up and away. Inside groove, looking to be the clear favorite now. Jared Davis up on Ethan Lane. Let's see how fast those guys get connected again. 20 on the lead lap. A third of our field is 2 laps down or more. Ryan Bean, 63, of course, laps in out of 130 here, one step closer to taking the race lead back, but the outside has not looked as strong since the incidents involving Cannon and Wetmore, and to a further extent, the most recent incident, which involved the 34 of Nolan Potter. Now you'll see the inside is quite firm. Jared Davis and John DeBarro, man, this is the group to look out for. I have a really good feeling about John DeBarro in particular tonight. Because usually, when it comes down to those final laps at a super speedway, the guy leading with 1 lap to go is not the guy that makes it, oh, we got trouble again, it's Randy Fiash. 5th caution of the night. Randy Fiash brings out the yellow. Fiash was running 12th at the line, and he's involved with Sam Nieto. Here's a look. The 54 was with Jacob Fife. Contact. Fife into Fiash. They go up the circuit. Brant McClendon slides. Sam Nieto overcorrects and saves himself by doing so. That spin actually cost him less damage. Brant McClendon in 30th also spins. 4 cars involved. Nieto, Fiash, McClendon, and then just ahead of them all, Jacob Fife. Yellow flag number 5 brings us to our halfway point at 130 laps overall in this race. We're now coming to lap number 66, and it will make it official, not only that we're at our second half, but that if these drivers who are coming down to pit road right now, if this is their final pit stop, they would be able to go the full distance from here. Let's see who wins the race off pit road and get an inside view with Ethan Lane, the sun beaming inside the cockpit as he goes at a speed of 45 miles an hour, entering his pit stall and getting to business. Fuel is going to be the expectation, not going to be seeing 4 tires. The number 6 car not lifted up on the jacks, and he's going to have a quick stop. Again, you don't want to use up all your extra sets of rubber. I would be shocked if Ethan Lane broke into that final set before lap 90. So he's got, at the very least, I would say, about 25, 30 laps until he decides to double dip and go for his second fresh set. Ethan's your winner off pit road, by the way. He has 9 drivers ahead of him. Lane drops to the bottom. This is where it becomes every gallon, every liter of fuel matters, and every lap matters, because Lane is going to take it down to the inside of the racing circuit and save a little bit more. Take a listen. You might not be hearing a lot, and if you aren't hearing too much, exactly what you should be hearing right now. Lane is keeping that thing at a real low gear, and he has decided that he is going full on saving, even if it's highly unlikely that we go the distance. Prepare yourself just in case. Lane's up high. Brian Yazik, the man he'll be chasing as we go for our 5th restart. 6-7 laps in, it's going to be Brad Patton alongside, Richard Smith. Smith is back in front. And this time around, it looks like the front end is a little less crumpled. Still looking at a little bit of collateral damage from those previous incidents. Hopefully, however, he doesn't get himself involved in anything more. There are 20 drivers on the lead lap, and now the gap between a lead lapper and a lapper is 7 laps. Matt Jonas is 7 laps down and retired. Bobby Keith is the last man on the lead lap. So we've got 2/3 of the original field still kicking, and very rare we see those numbers of retirements even at a super speedway race. Atlanta is narrow. It's a very narrow circuit for a miniature super speedway, for super speedway period, with banking raised and the width of the circuit decreased to under 30 feet. That is unfortunately the biggest side effect of the style of racing that is natural on this racetrack. Green flags out, 64 laps to go. Here we go again. Brad Patton, Richard Smith grabbing a gear. Green flags out. Smith hangs on well in the opening jump, but it's going to be John DeBarro looking to find a friend right after this. "63 laps to go." Richard Smith is holding up well this time by, but again, John DeBarro and Jared Davis have been so far the dream team, and I'd be remiss if I were to say I expect them to hang on alone for much longer. They're better together. Brad Patton's got Jared Davis, though, for the time being. Matt Sisler getting himself up inside the top 5, and this is what happens when you have so many breaks in the action. Top 5s from wrecks. These guys maybe 40, 50 laps ago are at the back end on pit road getting more repairs. And now they're up in front. The cycle of this race has been so, well, I wouldn't even say unpredictable, but it has been pretty chaotic. And yet, to this point, that's exactly what we've seen. Side by side, Richard Smith, Matt Sisler, he's got a little bit less room, or rather, less help. And the fact that he has more room is the problem. Nobody pushing him on the backside. The outside is weaker. Brian Yazik with Tom Wetmore right alongside each other again. Ethan Lane and Ryan Bean are toe-to-toe as well. Zach Schrintenol and Nick Tarbuck together all at the same time. 60 laps remaining. Patton holding control. Less than 60 laps remaining with Brad Patton at the helm. So here's what it's going to come down to on strategy. I would be very surprised if we see it go under green. If it does go under green, any driver that pitted from lap 55 onward, as you see on the left side of your screen, they will have a very fair shot of going the whole distance. So that would be someone like Matt Sisler, or someone like Jared Davis, who went down at lap number 60, or someone like Ethan Lane, especially because Lane went down at lap number 66 here. With the yellow flag laps that we've had, those drivers have been able to save just enough fuel to have a little bit left in the tank to make it to lap 130 as is. However, if you're looking like Brad Patton is right now and he went down to pit road lap number 52, he would benefit from a caution. And I think it's highly likely that we're going to see at least one more caution from this point to the end of the race. So for Brad Patton and company, who have been banking on that sort of unpredictability, well, I think that's going to be the better part for the 7 team. He's got the track position now. He just needs a caution to not only maintain it, but get enough equipment, including a fresh set of rubber perhaps, and enough fuel to make it through. Just like that, Patton billowing down the back straightaway. He's got the lead, and he's waiting to see if chaos strikes. But with a smaller field compared to beforehand, it might be even more challenging to make that happen. William Cacciatore, a debuting driver, 13 places gained. We've been watching him a little bit, and slowly but surely, although he hasn't gotten himself up in the active mix-up in front, he's done a few things right today. He's gotten himself out of trouble, hasn't gotten any damage on the car, he's on the lead lap, and he now finds himself looking to go to the top half of the lineup for the first time all night long. He's doing better than, well, without a doubt, everyone who's at least a lap down, but at the very same time, he's also doing a fantastic job putting himself up in the picture now and gaining that confidence. There are 20 drivers on the lead lap. The next closest driver is 16 laps down. So we're dealing with 20 to finish this race off. We had 30 that registered, but through damage and all, it's going to come down to at most 20 more drivers. And it's in their best interest to keep it together and stay safe. Patton, Davis, Sisler, Yazik, the 1, 2, 3, 4, all on the inside line have seen Richard Smith, and he has not gone away. I wouldn't classify him as a thorn in their side just yet. He hasn't been all too aggressive, but he has been there. And that is huge for the Smith team. Richard, a driver who oftentimes is at the back half of the field. He's a rookie driver, getting his, of course, first races in with this field, building up that experience. Hasn't had all too many opportunities to really show what he's got in store for us. But tonight has been the opposite, although for good and bad reasons alike. He's had himself in some incidents, he's gotten some damage, but right now he is up there inside the top 10. And since being given this opportunity and getting himself that track position, he has not faltered. Richard Smith finding himself in the championship race further down the line than most. He's in 32nd in points. He's not going to make the playoffs, but a victory would be the crowning achievement of his season. And it's very likely that this could be the best chance he has throughout the entire regular season to make it happen. It's a miniature super speedway, not as many drivers as a Daytona or a Talladega, and as a result, 20 drivers on the field. Oh, Richard Smith, no! Up to the high side of the track, Cacciatore. Oh my goodness! Take back everything we just said in the last 5 minutes and forget we ever said it. Wow. I will have to eat my words. Richard Smith with contact, and then Cacciatore gets plowed at the same time. Wow, unbelievable. It's worse when it's the driver you're talking about in the immediate moment, and then the rookie we've been keeping our eyes on all night long gets involved right after. Smith was having a hell of a race to this point, and he caught that bump. Got loose, sent up by Ryan Bean. Cacciatore caught it at the same time, goes down to the inside of the track, and he comes up. Destroys Nicholas Ward, and that is insult to injury for Richard Smith. And you gotta hate it for both of them. First time racing for Cacciatore, a top 20 guaranteed, but not much more than that now. Nolan Potter went one lap down in that cycle, but he'll get away from the wreck. He's got some scuffing on the left front. And horrible for Nicholas Ward, who was an innocent bystander at it all and got plowed on the way through. Although he might not be innocent in the eyes of Nolan Potter there, it looks like there's nothing going on. But he'll head down to pit road as those two got close. McClendon, Bean, Ward, Keith, Cooper, Smith, Cacciatore, all doing damage repairs as Brian Yazik leads with 50 laps to go. We're going to restart with 47 laps to go at the very most here. And it's harder and harder to predict really who's going to make it through. That yellow flag again is going to be the biggest benefit for Brad Patton. He needed a caution based on his strategy. Going in at lap 81, only 5 holdouts in Yazik, Eads, Fife, Lane, and Tarbuck. I would think that all of them didn't have to go down to pit road, so that's the reason they won't sacrifice track position. But Brad Patton, as we predicted, is a driver who needed it. He will take it down and in at lap number 81, and so that means he'll have to go just about 50 laps on this stint. That is enough for him to come away comfortably to the end of this race. Shrintanola is up top, Tarbuck and Ethan Lane now with each other side by side. Jacob Fife, Aaron Eads, and Brian Yazik leading. Aaron 28th up to second, so he has gained 27 places so far today. Restart number 6 after contact for Richard Smith, Nicholas Ward, and the number 74, William Cacciatore. All of which coming together through turns 3 and 4, which has been a profoundly difficult spot for everyone on the racetrack. We'll go green again. Green flag's out. Yazik gets the jump. Take a look on the backside. He's got several car lengths clear. Jacob Fife gets up to second. He was a front row guy 3 restarts ago, and he's back again. Watch what happens now as the number 4 Tarba gets in line for 3rd place. It could be a victory long awaited. Nick is top 5 in both point standings, and yet the problem is for him, well, he hasn't yet been able to get a win. He won last year in the Octane Series 4 times, got 1 victory in 2023, and he's looked for career win number 6 to climb up the charts and find himself 1 under Tom Wetmore and go, of course, top 5 all time in this series. He will need just 2 more spots, but he's got 47 laps to take him, and I'm highly doubtful that in the position he's in right now, he'll be able to do it. The only reason I say that is Ethan Lane's not going to be a friend to anyone now. He's looking for his own. They're single file with 46 laps to go, and this is the very first time everyone has come together all at once. So here's the thing about that. I think that means either we're going to see everyone really settle down for 30 plus laps and pull it together for the final 15, or you're going to see this very briefly and it's just going to be something everyone forgets. Brian Yazik getting his first opportunity independently as your race leader. Brad Patton goes up top, 3-car gaggle on the high side, the first sign of anyone getting things going with that second lane. Aaron Eads drops low. With him, Matt Sisler. Sisler takes it down to the inside groove once again, and you'll have Zach Schrintenall and Ryan Bean all together. Kyle Cooper rounds out the top 15. 14th place then goes Nicholas Ward, Tom Wetmore, P15. Wetmore right now is one of the leaders of this second pack, but all these guys have damage. They're a few seconds off, so they're not going to be in the front running, and they don't have the caliber of equipment to get out there. 43 to go. Brian Yazik still holding fort, but you're starting to see that charge in the second groove. Aaron Eads behind Ethan Lane. John DeBarro is with Jared Davis again. This time around, Davis is behind DeBarro. This is interesting. Maybe we'll see it play out well. Perhaps there's an opportunity for this difference to make a difference on the racetrack. For the most part tonight, it has been John DeBarro working behind Jared Davis, which it was to be expected for the most part. Jared Davis got the pole position after all, but DeBarro stayed real loyal for the first 40-some laps, and I think that's the type of trust you only get a few chances to build that in a race like this. It comes without any expectations sometimes, but it really does make all the difference. 41 laps to go. DeBarro and Davis are going to be the duo to watch out for as we head toward the tail end of this event. Now we'll see if they can execute, but with them being in position together, I would be shocked if we see nothing. Yazik and Fife are an interesting combination. You know, we build this race as a little bit of a wild card. It's a little bit of a gamble. Jacob Fife, winner in Las Vegas, is back in front. Nancy Wetmore Hunter in the chat, thank you for stopping by. Great to have you guys here. If you got a favorite driver, make sure to let us know. We're doing pretty good in the FTN Broadcasting booth. It's 10:11 now on the Eastern Seaboard, so that's the studios here in New York and down here at the virtual racetrack in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're coming up, and not going to come up on midnight tonight, but we might come up on 11 p.m. Depends on how clean these guys race. Great to have you guys here. If you enjoy tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream. Subscribe to the channel. We are proud to announce we have officially hit 3,000 subscribers on the channel. A remarkable feat. And thank each and every one of you for that. 39 laps to go here, so of course the racing is still going. We don't want to pull you away from that, but that is a astounding achievement for this network. We've only been at it now for the better part of 2.5 years, and so to have your support in that capacity is unbelievable. Thank you for everything you've done for FTN Broadcasting, and we're looking forward to keeping it rolling for the rest of the summer and beyond. 3,000 subscribers on FTN. Thank you for each and every one of your support. Patton, Yazik, Fife, John DeBarro, Jared Davis all down the line with 38 laps to go, and now we mean it when we say down the line. They are going to find themselves running in unison. Nobody deviating up in front. The backside has seen a little bit of it, but the decision has been made for all these front-running guys who are, say, the top 5 in this category, just to get out of each other's way. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be the best thing to do, but so far, that's been the reliable choice made in this final stint. Very unlike the first 100 or so laps. We're coming up on lap 100 right now, but with the checkered flag on the horizon, I think it's going to be best for these drivers to consider that the checkered flag is most important. And so that's what you're seeing. Nick Tarbuck 4th, Jacob Fife 3rd, Brian Yazik is now 2nd, Brad Patton is leading. 28th to 8th, Aaron Eads is the biggest mover of the day. Oh, Aaron Eads up the track. Speaking of a big move, he'll go to the inside of the circuit and ricochet. I don't know if he hit Jacob Fife there. Caution is out. Contact with Kyle Cooper, send him down the circuit, up the track. Oh, Sam Nieto. Nieto gets loose and saves it. Wow. Remarkable save from Sam Nieto. Take a look on board. Nowhere to go. Locks it up, no contact from either Cooper or the ricocheting Aaron Eads. He'll take the spin, and while he's 25 laps down, I'll tell you this much, that's a huge wreck avoidance. Sam Nieto, great job there. I'm sure if he got hit in any sense, that would have been pack it up and go home territory. But Nieto puts his all into keeping that car all right. Great job there for Sam Nieto. 34 laps to go, and until we have time to finish the job, we'd like to thank our friends at iRacing.com for their support. Summer sales are going on at iRacing right now, up to 64% off a new membership. Best time to start is right now. Visit iRacing.com to learn more about how you can register and begin your sim racing career today. But until then, we'll bring you a message from our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations. The final stretch is just ahead of us here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stay tuned, live on FTN. We'll be right back after this. You're watching the Octane Series in Atlanta.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Thirty-three laps remaining, coming to 32. It is Patton, Fife, Tarbuck. 1, 2, 3, as we are set to restart again. It'll be 31 laps remaining when Patton gets it going. Jacob Fife has been looking strong. And now he's got John DeBarro behind him. John DeBarro, perhaps the best supporting act of any driver so far. And what a job he has done to this point with Jared Davis in particular. But now that he no longer has that number 19, well, we'll see if he works better with someone else or if he can work well at all. Patton with the very first opportunity he's had to lead this race long term. They were single file up in front beforehand, but those back half wrecks have been so problematic that it really leaves it to be an open-ended goal for anyone to take the race lead. Green flag will fly. It'll be restart number 8. Patton gets it going. Nick Tarbuck right behind. DeBarro sways. Is he going to find Jared Davis? No, he's not even going to get close. He's up in the wall. DeBarro goes 3 wide, forced up there. And with 31 to go, it's all Brad Patton. Further behind, Brant McClendon in the number 21 goes right alongside Aaron Eads and Bobby Keith. Tom Wetmore's also there. These are the guys with damaged equipment. And it's Brad Patton now leading Nick Tarbuck. This is what it's starting to look like. Starting to look like last year where Don Stevenson was able to take victory. And we say that because it was all about whittling down the field and finding the right amount of competition with the right drivers to get to the very end. So, understandably speaking, not everyone's going to make it, but slowly but surely we've realized that hardly half the field is going to make it. And with that said, of the 15 guys who will be on the lead lap right now, I would say only about 10 or 12 have a real chance of hanging on. John DeBarro here going to the back is going to be a death blow to his opportunity up in front. Really not the right way to go about it if your DeBarro is to give up, though. I think he's got time to make it back in ahead if he just keeps moving here. If he finds Jared Davis, I mean, that would be a miracle, but it's going to take a lot. 29 laps to go. Patton is with Tarbuck. Side by side, Davis is with Ethan Lane. "81 laps, of course, it took for Patton to go in for what will be his final pit stop of the day. From this point onward, there should be very little reason for anyone to come down a pit road with the exception of damage repair. Oh, Ethan Lane and Jared Davis are side by side. They were racing each other real close last night, but Davis didn't quite have the pace to keep up with Lane. Now tonight, they're dead even, but we'll see if the help works out for Davis's favor. With John DeBarro, he's been advantageous. Right now, I think you're seeing more of the same. Zach Schrinthal going to help as Davis barely clears Ethan Lane. Wow. Real close to contact all over again. Lane to the inside. Ethan Lane drops low. Jared Davis takes the middle. They're going to cross each other over, swap positions. Davis takes 4th. Lane takes P3. Eli Carr's 23rd up to 8th has had a real good day for himself, and you see that Sheriff's outfit in the 82. We haven't seen a lot of Eli Carr's up in front this season, but it looks like in outlasting everyone, he's gotten his time in the sun. Great to see now some guys in we don't often see, making it happen and shifting up the parity at the back end of the field, and now making their way to the top 10. We have 14 drivers in this main pack. Randy Fiash has been able to hang on to be the last of them. Again, Fiash was involved in a spin earlier, however it wasn't major damage, and so he's been able to carry on. Wetmore, Bobby Keith, and Aaron Eads are the final drivers on the lead lap, but they are far out of sight. Aaron Eads is in jeopardy of going one lap down. 25 laps to go becomes 24. Tarbuck up high. Jared Davis takes him there. Zach Schrintenal watching all around him. Zach's got one up top, one diagonal and ahead, one straight ahead, and he's got the inside of the apron right below him. He's got an exit, but he's got so much going on around him that I don't even know if that exit will be particularly safe. Coming to 23 laps to go, Davis bobbling as Tarbuck gets ahead of him. And it's going to be toe-to-toe down the top dozen. With 22 laps to go coming up, we'd like to thank our friends at Whiplash SimCams for the best cameras on the iRacing market. No better place to go. If you want to try some of them out for free, that's what you can do now at their Discord server. And purchase, if you'd like, $5 per car or track package. No licensing fees necessary, and you can start with some free packs for iconic circuits such as the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you to Pit Stop TV for bringing us tonight's camera coverage from Atlanta. With 22 laps to go, let's crank it up from Georgia. The warm summer night is about to come to a close, and it's anyone's race toward the home stretch. Jared Davis gets chewed up out of the exit of 2. The caution's out. Davis destroyed. Watch this. Caution's out with 21 laps remaining and one of the strongest competitors all night long. Contact with Schrintenal. Shot down the line. Race over for the 19. Just like that, Jared Davis' promising day is done. 20 laps to go and less than that as he retires the 19, and another driver is out of the way. Worst comes to worst here. Field stays out again, and we still have a solid strategy game going on to see who will make it. Everyone's saving fuel as we anticipate. Well, I think we're in a position, no other option is to stay out. Take a listen right now with Ethan Lane. I think it'll tell the same story. Maybe even less of a concern than we anticipated. Ethan Lane with 19 laps to go, not giving a thought to saving any additional fuel, just letting it roll as per usual. Second gear. We will restart with 17 laps remaining. $19 laps to go. Less than that when we go green. So, we have 16 drivers scored on the lead lap. Aaron Eads is getting back up there. Tom Wetmore with more damage to repair. He'll be scraping around to the back end of the top 15 if he just gets back on track, which I think he's going to do. Shouldn't be too much of a concern for him to do so. as you'll see now, the 51 putters back onto the racetrack. Patton, Lane, Tarbuck, and Anthony DeBarro. Those are your fast four, with Brian Yazik holding 5th, Nicholas Ward then taking 6th, and Eli Cars in 7th as they all run together again. 18 laps to go. If we have any cautions after lap 125, we are automatically entering overtime territory, in which we see the race extended under green no matter what. So that would be any incident beyond the lap 125 threshold. Green, white checkers, we have 3 attempts. One of which, of course, the first of which will be immediately after 130. If we have any other cautions from that point onward, then of course we could go longer, much longer. Could get up to 10 laps put in. We will see whether or not that ends up being the case. We have seen triple overtime before at the superspeedways. We've seen instances of caution-free races at superspeedways. 2023 Talladega in the fall, Thomas Bresci went 266 miles without interruption and won by about 1/10 of a second. Last year's winner, Don Stevenson, is going to finish 28th today, and that accounts for a guarantee of a new race winner. In 2023, Caitlin Height won at this circuit. In 2024, the aforementioned Stevenson got the job done. Now, it's about time. The green flag goes off again. 17 laps to go. Patton leads. It's going to be Ethan Lane and John DeBarro. Perhaps a dream team in the making, the best leading man and the best supporting man of the race. $16 to go now, single file, and it's going to be led by Patton. Nick Tarbuck's got it made for P2, but even then, he's only got it made for so long. Will Ethan Lane peel out to the outside? Will he take John DeBarro with him and push down low? No guarantee as to how any of these drivers decide to approach this circumstance. Eli Cars here, watching and waiting. Brian Yazik shot up high. Randy Fiash 3 wide, as is Jacob Fife and Bobby Keith. Bobby's car is looking a little bit different from when the race started, but not for the reasons that you're thinking of damage. In the first 50, 60 laps, that car was black. I'm looking at a almost fully gray car now, and the paint scheme has almost gone away. It's like one of those race cars you put in the water, and when the temperature's changed, the paint scheme comes to life, or it disappears. Right now, it looks like with cooler temperatures, Bobby Keith no longer has a paint scheme for us. And 14 laps to go, he's still hanging on, as is Randy Fiash. Patton is being pushed by Tarbuck. Both drivers desperate for victory. Nick doesn't need one per se, but it would be the icing on the cake of an amazing regular season. He's second in the championship standings. If he is to win tonight, it would all but solidify that runner-up slot in another great year to begin his playoff push. Brad Patton is 17th in points right now. He has 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s. If you look at the numbers, those stack up pretty well relative to his competition. I mean, when you look at the numbers compared to guys like Ryan Bean or Sam Nieto or Ross Cato, he's right in that range. Brad Patton with 3 top 5s, one of the very few drivers that has 3 or more. This would be his 4th if he's able to stick it today. He's been strong. He's got good results. He's been, for the most part, consistent, but he hasn't made every race. That's also been to his detriment. A win removes all of that conversation from mine. It really does. Side by side, further back, Tom Wetmore, Randy Fiash, Zach Schrintenall, Jacob Fife, just trying to keep this line alive. And interestingly now, Wetmore has enough speed in him to hang on to the back end of this front pack. That is remarkable. Tom was destroyed again. When Cannon made contact with Wetmore, or when Wetmore made contact with Cannon, however you saw it, there was an instance in which Cannon's entire car was pressed against the front end of the 51. That's exactly what it was, and now Wetmore, with about an hour's worth of work on the car, is quick enough to actually be backing off the throttle. He might not have a perfect car right now, but with 10 laps to go, it is mildly competitive. And that's all you need. A mildly competitive car can win you a whole lot of races when it's a super speedway style. Nick Tarbuck still watching, still waiting. He wants the chance, hasn't gotten it to move. The 6 of Lane, the 61 of John DeBarro, the 97 of Nicholas Ward, all anticipating the first move out. Everyone's playing the waiting game. We saw them playing this game with 45 laps to go. That only lasted 5 laps, but we've seen this now for about 10. I think this is really it. If John DeBarro moves, does Ethan Lane decide to go with him? Oh, he's thinking about it. Oh, but Nick Tarbuck's thinking too. I think they're thinking together. 8 to go now. I still got my... Oh, the back of the field just came apart. Tom Wetmore, skating, cautions out, just before the overtime threshold. Wetmore into Bobby Keith, takes Keith around, they slide, they spin, yellow flag. Damn. What could have been the build-up there? Wetmore's going to get out of it. Bobby Keith gets out of it. Both have damage to begin with. I think that's slightly more for the two of them as the caution flies for the 9th time. And it's highly likely this is it. We'll see if they come down to pit road, but if they don't, we're going to take a brief step back for the final time tonight and give you some words from our partners and associates live at FTN Broadcasting who have been bringing the action to you all night long. Thank you for tuning in to FTN Broadcasting, proudly celebrating 3,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Thank you sincerely for all of the years now of support. We've been with the Integrity Racing League since 2023 began. It's been a wonderful time. We got a little bit of time, in fact, until this next restart, and we'll break down the restart rules when we return. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned live on FTN, and we'll return with more coverage from Atlanta.
Welcome to the Underdog Racing Podcast, where we talk to NASCAR drivers from all over the great country of America. Each week, we chat about the latest races, share stories from the track, and get to know the drivers behind the wheel. We break down the action, hear from drivers about their experiences, and dive into what drives them to keep racing. Whether you're a longtime NASCAR fan or just curious about the sport, this is the place for you. So tune in to the Underdog Racing Podcast, your inside look at the world of NASCAR. Catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern.
Five laps to go. We're restarting with 4. So here's how it goes down from here. Any other caution will bring us to our overtime procedure. We have 3 overtime attempts available, which means the race must finish under green. The white flag signifies the race is official, which means that we can no longer extend the race or bring out the caution under any circumstance. We are right about there. We are just at that point where every flag thrown out, every instance on track is a difference maker. Contact, caution, overtime. Get to the white flag, race is official, race to the checkered. Green flag flies here. When it flies, what the field does determines how this race ends. It could go either way. Brad Patton has been in control now for the past 2 restarts, and he's looked real good while he's been at it. One thing to note is that Nick Tarbuck, I think he's got something up his sleeve. Just not sure what. Not sure just yet. But, with that being said, he's been watching so intently what's going on ahead of him here that if anything is to happen, I think the number 4 car is going to be the fastest to react and pull himself into a better situation. 16 drivers are on the lead lap. Bobby Keith, Tom Wetmore, Randy Fiash all pull themselves up together again. Watch the top 10. Those are the drivers with cleaner cars. They have the best chance of winning just because that's the case. So, this is it. The final gauntlet. 6 miles in Atlanta to determine a winner and see who of the many will escape defeat. Brad Patton gets a big shove from Ethan Lane. Nick Tarbuck does the job on his own and stays lockstep with your second man. Green flag's out, 4 laps to go. John DeBarro getting up to Lane. Will the supporting man of the day get his due, or will it be Patton and Lane to battle for the win? Three remaining this time by. 4.5 miles left for Brad Patton. Patton is watching as Ethan Lane is right on that back bumper. And so now he's got protection. But it's only protection when you're single file. Ethan Lane pulls to the high side. He's going to find a rival more than an assistant here. John DeBarro looks high. Lane thinks about it, doesn't go yet. Nicholas Ward gets ahead of Nick Tarbuck. Nick is now the leading man on the outside, and he needs help. 2 laps to go this time by. 3 miles remaining. They get to the white flag. This race is official. John DeBarro's got himself right behind the number 6. Lane is closing in, but how much closer can you get before you make that move? Patton, 9th to 1st on the day. Lane, 6th up to 2nd. Last night, he qualified 31st and came runner-up. He's not looking to be the bridesmaid for the 2nd night in a row. He's looking for his own victory. But watch out now for John DeBarro. Lane needs an assist. He needs a second man. He has one in the 61. White flag is out. Oh, John DeBarro's destroyed. Say goodbye to the 61. It's Lane on Patton for the win. Patton's got clean air, got a clean car, and he's got the track ahead of him. But Ethan Lane looks up high to block Nicholas Ward, can't do anything with it. Lane sticks behind Brad Patton. He's got nowhere else to move. Nicholas Ward looks up high at the line. Patton holds on. All he had to do was hold a pretty wheel, and he does it perfect. Brad Patton wins from Atlanta. It's his first win of the year, and if he wants to fight for a championship, he's finally got proof he can still take it to the checkers. Checkered flag for Brad Patton. 39 1,000ths of a second. Patton prevails. Patton holds fort and collects the checkered flag over Nicholas Ward and Ethan Lane, and he'll take his Polish victory lap. You know, this is the track where Alan Kulwicki won his 1992 championship, after all. It looks a lot different, but it's the very same sight. He'll only go for a half lap before spinning it around, however. Oftentimes, Brad Patton is the man who sees misfortune at these superspeedway races, but not only was he able to win, but take a look at that 55-lap tally of laps led. He was the man tonight without question, and Brad Patton comes alive from Atlanta to finally beat the superspeedway troubles. Nicholas Ward gets away with another podium finish. The 97 is hot again. He'll take P2, and Lane is on the podium, but third place tonight. He couldn't get by Patton. Matt Sisler goes fourth for a career best finish, and it'll be Kyle Cooper in fifth, Nick Tarbuck sixth, seventh in Brian Yazik, Ryan Bean eighth, Zach Schrintenol ninth, and Jacob Fife in P10. 11th place is Eli Cars with Tom Wetmore, Bobby Keith, Randy Fiash, and Aaron Eads, the number 88, in 15th place. John DeBarro goes 16th. 17th goes Richard Smith, and you got yourself a rookie as well, William Cacciatore, 16 laps down as a result of the incident. He comes away 18th. 19th is Jared Davis, 20th is Sam Nieto, and retirees go as follows, with Brent McClendon, Nolan Potter, Brock Potter, Matt Jonas, Cody Smith, Sean Kalist, Woody Mahan, Don Stevenson, Blake Cannon, and last of all, Josh Gallagher. Unfortunately, troubles for the Gallagher team leave him 79 laps down, and just like that, the checkered flag is out. Race over. Patton is back to victory lane. It's been a year of waiting for him, much like Michael Araya had to wait a long time to break his drought. Tonight, Brad Patton did more of the same. He doesn't have teammates around him, and oftentimes he starts at the back of the field. Tonight, he chose to take a qualifying time, but I don't think that made the difference. Those final laps did. Track position and all, he held off the field, and when the field panicked, he stayed calm and collected, and that's how the 7 team gets itself a win. Brad Patton back in victory lane, and a clutch win at that before the regular season ends. Welcome back to the checkered flag. Usually the super speedways, they don't treat you too well, but tonight, you got it done. How about that?
Let's go. Finally, I get to be in victory lane and have a nice little talk with you.
Well, I'll tell you this much, it's been a long time coming. Usually when we're going to this high of a speed, you find yourself in a bad wreck or a tricky situation. We saw a lot of those tonight. First off, you avoided them. Was there anything different you did, or was it just circumstance playing out well?
I think it was all circumstantial. There was a little bit. I don't know if we net coded or what, but I'm pretty sure me and Nolan got together. I don't know if it was entering one or what it was, but I just seen him start to come across my nose. So if I did do part of that, I'm sorry, Nolan. I did not. I was just cruising at that point. But to come out with a stage win and to get the win overall, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better night.
And all those bonus points being racked up big time. Now, you took a qualifying lap. Some races you do. Most races this year you have. Some you don't. But this track, Atlanta, unlike the other super speedway circuits, I really think it matters to have that track position. I'm sure you would agree there. It looked tricky to make your way up, but once you got up to the top 5, and especially when you got to the lead late, you held it. You think that's just a factor of dirty air, the track width? Was there anything in particular you think was playing with that?
Well, it all came down to being able to pinch the inside, because the inside would drift up into the corners once the tires got worn in. And me, Ethan, Nick, we were all trying to, like, not pinch, but keep them down there. That way they didn't wash up and get the run off the corner where we could have momentum. There was just no momentum on the high side. And once you had the clean air in the front, I mean, you were good to go. So working all the way up to the front there. Again, after the pit, when people stayed out, DeBarro gave me a hell of a push to get me up in the lead. And I mean, I felt bad for leaving him, but at that same time, I had to take my energy and I had to go down and block the inside. And then from there on out, it was just try to maintain top 3. We got the in-season bracket challenge going. Not only that, but I need as many points as I possibly can to even make the playoffs. So all in all, I mean, it was just try to put yourself in a position on scoring the most points and ultimately, I mean, I came away with a win because of some help from Ethan there at the end. I think Nick would have got me if Ethan didn't push. So, all in all, great night. The racing was fun. I mean, it was kind of chaotic, but once you got to learn the car and when they got loose, that was when the fun began.
Now, coming into this race, Brad, you found yourself outside of the playoff window. That's changed here. You're 17th in points coming in. This is going to be a big gain, of course, and a huge boost of momentum. We got 3 races left in the regular season. Now you got a win and the wind in your sails. So, we're heading off from Atlanta. Next race is coming up. That's going to lead us to Dover. Now, of course, the win is a huge thing, but what's it going to take to keep clawing up through the points ladder now with that in mind?
Accountability on my part, race it a little bit smarter, and just like I said, try to maximize the points. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't really caring about stage points. I was more going for, trying to get top 10 finish, and I mean, it's killed everything I've had this year. So the last probably like 7 or 8 races, I've focused on getting as many stage points as I possibly could and trying to have like a top 5 finish. So ultimately, the next 3 races, that's the goal. I mean, qualifying, everything. You're gonna see a different Brad Patton.
And now it's all about going all out. Victory already established for the team. We'll see what's next to come in that big playoff push. Brad, your first win of the year, and perhaps at the most unlikely of places where anyone can get it done, but it happened to be you today. Any final comments you'd like to leave with us? The floor is yours.
I'd like to thank Integrity Racing League. I'd like to thank you for broadcasting. Got to thank my Wanted Goons organization. Finally brought one for you boys. KFD Designs, McConey Setup Shop, OG Gear. They're a big sponsor for us now. And any other sponsors that we have. Thank you for watching, and hope the fans enjoy that race.
Brad Patton, by 39 one-thousandths of a second, stays out in the head and wins from Atlanta. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good night.
With Brad Patton on the move, your first place man, the number 7, Nicholas Ward, has continued to achieve and exceed expectations this year, and this second place performance is again indicative of just that. He looked good in the All-Star race, and it looks like he's brought it back for another Tuesday night of strong performing, and this time when the points-paying situation is once again in order. Nicholas Ward back with a podium. Second place tonight, and you were 12th in the championship standings coming in. Now a firm shot to stay in the top 10. After this one, you're up to P10 with a clutch performance tonight.
Yeah, definitely a night of just salvaging what we could. I mean, honestly, after that first wreck, I don't know, lap 25 or so, if you would have told me we would finish second, I would have told you were crazy. It was really just trying to keep the car rolling, try and get whatever we could, and ended up working out for us in a good way. So it was definitely a positive night, keeping that momentum rolling, especially the momentum after the All-Star race last week with that second place finish, and just trying to keep everything rolling on that side.
It looks like today tires didn't mean all too much for the strategy, at least from what we saw anyway. Some drivers getting caught up with the bump through turns 3 and 4, but fuel was a big deal. A lot of drivers holding out, going down a pit road multiple times for fuel only and trying to stretch the distance until we saw only a few guys left running single file, which is on the viewer screens right now. Those last laps, a lot of waiting and a lot of patience necessary for everyone involved. So when everyone really started getting going and the racing was back on, how did you make those moves to take the second spot?
Yeah, really with that final run, when we all got single filed there, it was really the top side just didn't have anything. I mean, like, we kept trying all race long. All sorts of guys were trying all race long, and it was just so hard to build any momentum up there. So I think everybody kind of knew that you had to wait to that last lap or two and then try and make a move and pop out. And when we were coming to take the white, and then I still don't really know what happened with John there coming through the quad oval. I'm trying to get underneath of him. He's there. I just barely touch his back bumper, and that gets him out of shape. And I apologize to him. It really sucks for him. He was having a good night. But after that, I thought it was over as far as trying to get anything other than third at that point. And I thought, honestly, we were going to get gobbled up because we had to check and lift for that. and I think it was Sizzler. Yeah, Matt Sizzler was able to get on my bumper and just push down the back straightaway, and I think he pushed me all the way down the back, and I just carried that run up to the high side. Unfortunately, he didn't come with us, and so we didn't quite have enough to go up there and get Brad. But I mean, it was really all thanks to the car behind me, that Sizzler car, able to help give us a shove up there.
Now you find yourself 10th place with 3 races left in the regular season. Now, we don't want to reopen healed wounds here. 2023, you were the first driver off the playoffs with the last season we ran in the Next Gens. But right now, you're sitting in I would say, a much better position. You got a victory already. You got this podium here, and you're P10 in points, regardless of any winning involving the reseeding. So you're in a pretty good spot here, I would say. Next race on the calendar, Dover, Delaware, another oval. Not really a traditional oval, but an oval regardless. 3 races left. That's the big thing. Is there anything different in mind now with another good run?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of got a lot of that early season jitters out of the way. I mean, I know we won kind of early with that Rockingham win, first 5-10 races or so. But I think really it's kind of getting the head down, getting in that groove, and trying to build forward momentum. I mean, the first half of the season, both in Octane and Ignite for us, has been just rampant with either pit road errors or wrecks, and I mean, a lot of stuff that out of our control, some of that stuff in our control, just bad luck here and there. So I mean, I think we've really kind of been able to work on eliminating a lot of the errors that we can control, or that I can control myself, which has really helped start to throw us back forward. Like you said, 10th place in points. Definitely a lot better situation than we were last year, being first car out. And luckily we have, I mean, at worst case, we would have that win to fall back on, but luckily we don't have to do that this year, right? So I think the big thing is that momentum building forward should be able to carry us pretty well into the playoffs. Dover next week should be another good one. Expect for another top 5 up there. Usually run really well there. So I think we're on for a good shot into the playoffs and at the start. So it'd be fun to see.
And all the momentum is with this 97 team. Not a win tonight, only a few thousandths off, but another strong top 3 finish and keeping that all-star momentum, as you mentioned, alive and well. Nicholas Ward, if you got any final comments you'd like to leave us with, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the guys here, Integrity Racing League. This is a difficult setup tonight, but we still managed to put on somewhat of a good show, especially there at the end. Thank Jacob and all the admins for doing everything they do for showing up and getting this thing rolling every week. Sponsors for the series, SimMotion, Next Level Racing, offering everything that they do for us. You for always broadcasting, putting on phenomenal shows for us. And obviously got to thank the Epic Universe Chevrolet team bringing us a good car. And just thanks everybody for what y'all always do.
Nicholas Ward, second on the day, riding the high from last week, and the good times keep on rolling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
It's a double podium for Ethan Lane, but I'll tell you this much, maybe not the best way for him. I'm not going to say the right or the wrong way, but I'm sure he would have loved to win last week. It's more unpredictable in Atlanta, but it looked like with the final restart, there still was a shot. Boxed in, really nowhere to go, and outside of wrecking, there was only one choice, sitting back and watching it happen. Ethan Lane, 3rd place here. How you feeling?
Feeling good after the race we had in the Xfinity Series a couple weeks ago. Yeah, no, I told Brad, I think with like 2 or 3 to go, it's like, I got you, dude, don't worry. I wasn't gonna like leave his bumper, but then I saw Nick on that last lap. We had a huge run off turn 2. I was like, well, maybe if I throw the block, I can get alongside Brad, side draft, and pull him back. But I was trying to play it safe and maintain points. Trying to build that points lead that we had tonight.
And, of course, points lead, the big thing. You had 58 points on Nick Tarbuck coming in, and it looks like, based on position, you're going to come out with the advantage again. It's a challenging place to, of course, put yourself in, Atlanta. Hard to pass, hard to find that support. Early on in the race, it was you and Blake Cannon working together. He ended up involved in an incident. Communication on the track, such a big deal, these mini superspeedway style circuits. I mean, it's one of its kind in that regard. But it's like Daytona, like Talladega. Was there anyone in particular you found best to work with after that, or was it whoever was around you?
It was really just whoever was around me. It was weird tonight. The draft and the high line it didn't really have much. Even later in the run, for whatever reason there was just no momentum, like I think Brad said. But yeah, no, it was all about finding track position when you could, and then maintaining it.
And it looks like tonight, hanging on and keeping track position until the very end. The final restart close, but just not enough tonight. Either way, strong results, building up that points lead. Next week, we head to Dover. Are you confident about maybe going back for that 9th win next week?
I think so. Dover's one of my favorite racetracks, especially in this car. As long as we can qualify out front, we should be able to stay there. If it's based anything off the Coat Series, you might see some tire blowouts. It's going to be very hard to pass. So, yeah, it'll be interesting next week.
Another chance for a checkered flag, but overall, a successful week for the Lane team. Double podiums in the Ignite and Octane Series, and 58 thousandths off the win tonight. Ethan Lane, anything else you'd like to leave us with? We'd love to hear it.
I just want to say congratulations, Brad Patton. It's been a long time coming. Usually every time we race each other at these super speedway style races, we kind of end up wrecking me, so wrecking him by not by choice but by mistake. Everyone at Integrity, I know it was a tough setup to deal with the rear aero grief and everything, but we did, I think, hopefully put on a decent show tonight. You did put on these broadcasts, and yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
Ethan Lane concludes the podium from the Atlanta Motor Speedway and wraps up 2 podium performances on 2 back-to-back nights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You know, Ethan Lane is the only driver where double podiums might actually be a disappointing result for that team. Still, by all accounts, he's going to gain in the championship ahead of Nick Tarbuck as he finishes 3rd tonight to Nicholas Ward's P2 and Brad Patton's well-deserved, much-needed victory from Atlanta. It's a pivotal moment in the championship race. If you need a clutch win or a clutch podium, you get it now. Ward and Patton just got theirs, and they've got the upper hand on their competitors as we head toward the virtual Dover Motor Speedway next week. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern on FTN Broadcasting. Our next broadcast this week will be Saturday night, concluding the SNT KDR Summer Series. We'd hope to have you there. It'll be at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's a must-watch race with some of our top talents returning to Saturday Night Thunder for the 2025 B season. Until then, I've been your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to Brad Patton on his first win of the season. We hope you have a fantastic night.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Welcome to the Underdog Racing Podcast, where we talk to NASCAR drivers from all over the great country of America. Each week, we chat about the latest races, share stories from the track, and get to know the drivers behind the wheel. We break down the action, hear from drivers about their experiences, and dive into what drives them to keep racing. Whether you're a longtime NASCAR fan or just curious about the sport, this is the place for you. So tune in to the Underdog Racing Podcast, your inside look at the world of NASCAR. Catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.